intersection of making art and making money. Hello and welcome to Explore Your Enthusiasm with me, Tara Swiger. But today I am not alone. I have with me today a fiber farmer, fiber artist, and crafty teacher, Lisa Check of Flying Goat Farm. Thank you so much for being with me.
Hi, Tara. Thank you for having me too. This is really going to be fun.
Yay! I got to meet Lisa for the first time at the first time in person at Maryland Sheep and Wool just a couple weeks ago. She is one of the organizers of the education, so I'm going to ask her a little bit about that. And also, we got to talk about how she gets everything done because she does a lot. So let's get started by explaining to people what you do and how you got started doing what you do.
Okay, well, we bought a farm about 10 years ago. Before that, I was just doing crafts by myself. I started out as a weaver and then became a dyer and then ultimately a spinner. But when we moved to the East Coast, I said, you got to buy me a farm. And little did I know that my husband secretly wanted a farm too. So it sounded like it was all my fault, but really it was both of our dreams. So that's pretty awesome. I just wanted to be able to grow my fiber from the ground up. And, you know, silly me, I thought, oh, you know, we'll get a few animals and I'll be able to wash everything and comb it and spin it and weave it. And after a couple of shearing, this is like a year, I was overwhelmed by so much mohair that it was like, oh my gosh, I have to do something with this. So that's how Flying Goat Farm got started, how I started selling stuff, because I had to use the fiber and the animals had to pay for themselves, basically.
So tell everybody what kind of animals you have.
I'm sorry, because we have fine wool sheep. So we have Cormos, we have blue-faced Leicesters, and we have a cross that's a blue-faced Cormo cross, which is lovely, lovely fleece that we're selling just as raw fleeces. And we have about 30 sheep. We have 23, I think. I don't like to count. Bill counts. I don't count. 23 Angora goats, and they make mohair. Mm-hmm. And then we have an assortment of chickens and guineas and livestock guardian dogs and all the things that go with a farm.
Wow. Awesome.
Right.
So when I was teaching at Maryland Sheep and Wool, there were a lot of fiber farmers and shepherds in the class with me, and they were talking a lot about how it's hard for them to work on their business because their work day, it's so much more fun and like immediate. Maybe not even fun. It's just more immediate to like go be with the sheep and the goats and the animals, like because there's always something to do on the farm out of the office and away from the business. So I am just curious all of that yarn behind you, I want everybody to know if they're watching the video, is your yarn. That's a lot of yarn. So you obviously get a lot done. Like, what's a normal work day for you like? Or do you have a normal work day?
Well, I have two kinds of work days. So I also still have a day job 2 days a week. So I'm a public school teacher 2 days a week. And then the other 5, because we really don't take any downtime, which is a problem. But the other 5 are Flying Goat Farm days. The way that we've worked it out is that my husband does all the morning chores and I don't do all the afternoon chores. So at least we've kind of divided that part up. And so I only have to maybe spend an hour doing chores at night. If I want to go hang out with the animals, I will, but basis I usually don't. It's nice to see them out there eating and and baying and, you know, having a good old time out there, but I don't need to go and spend a whole lot of time out there. So my usual day is I always start with morning pages because I just find that gets my intention set for the day, and then I can kind of think through what do I want to accomplish. And I usually do all of my computer stuff in the morning, and then I spend the afternoon here in the studio doing dyeing or rescanning and labeling and all the stuff that needs to get done to actually make all the yarn.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like you are kind of on top of it. So where does your like marketing and sharing your work on Instagram or sending emails or updating your website, where does that fit in?
I try to do that all in the morning while I'm still fresh.
Okay.
And some of it gets done more than others. Some things are easier. And it also depends, with the website, you have to wait for like a nice sunny day to take good enough pictures. So
Yeah.
a lot of times those kind of tasks will maybe get done in the afternoon while I'm also maybe have a couple pots going with the yarn or something like that. I have to figure out the best way that I can get nice shots for my stuff.
Excellent. So you also do all of this organization stuff for Maryland Sheep and Wool. I don't even understand everything that you do because you've just been my one contact person at Maryland Sheep and Wool. But so how do you have like tips or advice or suggestions or just like your own personal experience of how you manage to fit in? Because you don't just have your farm. I mean, you also then have the day job, and then you have the yarn, and then you have Maryland Sheep and Wool. So how does it fit together?
Well, I'm lucky enough to have I have a very good committee. And so they take on a lot of tasks, but I'm like the overseer. So I have to I have to keep all the balls in the air and figure out everything and where everything fits in. And so one of the things that I ended up doing a couple years ago when most of my committee members got sick, unfortunately, and so I had to do everything. And I pulled out my holiday sanity guide from you, Tara.
Yeah.
And remembered about those cookie swap party, that concept.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I have organized everything, is like the instructor dinner is a cookie party. I have to send out invitations, and I have to do the caterer, and I have to buy utensils, and I have to get the wine, and I have to, all these little tasks that go into making that party.
Mm-hmm.
Same with like teacher contracts. That's a cookie party. Mm-hmm. And then I can put all of those tasks underneath and kind of keep track if I'm doing them or somebody else is doing them. And that has saved my life because that is a huge responsibility to offer. We had 35 classes going before the festival and during the festival, and it's a lot of work and time.
So clarification for anyone who doesn't know what Holiday Sanity is. It's like a 4-week kind of process and e-course we go through each winter in the Starship, and if you're a member of Liftoff for the last half of the year. So if you join Liftoff in June and you go through it July through December, then your last couple weeks are Holiday Sanity. And what we do is we really just break down the holidays into projects, which I call cookie parties. Like if you're throwing a party and you're making a bunch of cookies, and then you make a grocery list, which is like all the tasks you need to do for that one party. And that framework, it's funny because it's not that different from the map making guide, but I have had so many people tell me that they use cookie parties throughout the year. It's just like a different way, I think, of organizing your brain and the projects you have to do, right?
Right. And I think because the cookie parties kind of have a deadline, I think that's kind of why I thought of that instead of the map making process, was because there's a deadline, and there's a deadline that I have to have for the sheep and wool.
Definitely. And I think that's the difference.
It worked better that way.
I love it. And I think that's a difference too for a lot of people. The reason why the Holiday Sanity is a little different than just like make a map and make a list is because there are deadlines, right? Like with the holidays, there are times when you have to have a thing done. Unlike a goal, which is like, oh, I want to increase my sales. You don't really have to reach that. But for the holidays, or like people use it for craft shows, or for you with organizing the, I was going to call it a conference, but I guess it's a festival, they're not just things that you would like to get done. They're like, no, really, you have to get this done. And I sold it on its own for a couple years, but people are going looking for Holiday Sanity. It's not available except for in the Starship and Liftoff. So I don't have like a link to send you to get it because it's so based on getting ready for that time when you're thinking forward on the holidays, and then you can expand that out if it works for you for anything. So I'm so glad to hear that it works for you. That makes me so happy. It just like totally delights me. Yay.
Yay.
So I would like to know, first of all, I don't think you said, how long have you been doing Flying Goat Farm? And then the follow-up to that is, what have like the turning points or like growth periods? Has there been something when you look back, you're like, oh, that made a real difference?
Right. So We got our first goats, I would say, like 12 years ago, but to actually be selling and doing this whole thing as a business is probably 7 years old.
Okay.
And really that particular turning point was applying for my first fiber festival with a friend, because I was scared to do it by myself. And so with a friend, we got a booth together, and then we could, design it together and figure it out together. And it was a real nice way to kind of get into it. And it seems like every kind of growth spurt that we've had is based on like adding a new show or a bigger show. Like 2 years ago, we got into Rhinebeck, which was it's a huge show, and it's really great. And again, it was a big growth spurt because I had to have a lot more inventory for that market and all those fall festivals. Mm-hmm. And I think right now I'm at a turning point where I am divesting myself of things. So like this year was my last year as a festival, and I found 3 people to take over that job. So that's how big that job is. And so last night was actually my last meeting that I have to go to. So that's kind of exciting.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to spend more time doing what I love to do and not as much time on volunteer kind of activities. Even though I love the festival and I'll still be involved, it's just I don't need to be in charge.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if I heard it from you or somebody else in the Starship is I'm trying to learn that no is a complete sentence.
That is, yeah, somebody said that. I mean, I've heard that line before. And but somebody recently said it in the Starship, and it was like, it's so true. Right. So I love to hear that. I love that you, when talking about growth points, talked about saying no and getting rid of things, because I feel like people want to grow and yet still will say yes to all the same stuff they said yes to before their business had grown or before they were doing more work in their business. And there just comes a point where you just can't put anything more on your plate, you know?
Exactly. And it's okay to just say no. They will find somebody else who's just as good. And I'm hopefully spending that focus time on the business is really gonna, make me grow, especially in the areas that I want the business to be better in, like online sales. And
yeah, that's fantastic. I love to hear that. Yeah. So as you know, one of the reasons why I have Explorer Enthusiasm is because I want makers and artists to feel less alone in their struggles. We even talked about this a little bit before we got started. I really want people to understand that whatever it is they're struggling with is probably not weird and they're not alone. So would you mind sharing what is something you've struggled with in your business?
I think one of the big things is, this is huge doing this podcast on video, because it's really hard for me to come out and to be seen, especially in a video, trying to, putting my toe in with Periscope, those kind of things. It's easy to be represented by your work, and it's harder for me to be represented by myself. And so that's I think probably the biggest struggle going forward is just to say, people do want to hear what I have to say, and I should go ahead and try it. I'm so scared about it.
Oh, I love that. That's so good. I am so glad to hear that. I'm so honored that you're on my podcast as you and not just a skein of yarn.
Right. Or an egghead, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what is something you're enthusiastic about right now?
Right now, I think the biggest thing is that, because I'm a public school teacher, I have 3 more weeks left of school. So I'm really enthusiastic about the summer. Yay! I can't wait for that to happen. And specifically so that I can really concentrate, again, just doing new colorways. I have a new kind of line of colorways that I'm doing that are based on shibori techniques. Ooh. And really I'm getting complex colors that I really like. And so I'm looking forward to doing a lot more of that this summer. And the other thing I'm really passionate about is collaborating with mills that make yarn so that I can get exactly what I think I'm going to get. instead of being surprised when you open the box, you ask for DK and here it is fingering. It's like, oh, okay.
No.
Not exactly what I asked for. So I'm working really hard to collaborate with some mini mills in the area to be able to get exactly what I need and what I envision. So that's what I'm enthusiastic about.
That is so exciting. Yay for getting what you really want and getting complex colors too. That's awesome.
Right.
So just the last question, where can people find more of your awesome yarn? And I wanted to show, I realized I actually have some back here. It's become
you have some of our, that's our signature yarn. It's Zephyret. It's alpaca, cashmere, and silk.
Yes,
and
it's so wonderfully soft and smooshy. And if you're listening to the audio version, I am showing the yarn on the video version, which you can find on YouTube, taraswiger.com/YouTube. It's so pretty.
Cute. Somebody said kittens.
What's that?
Somebody said it was like knitting with kittens.
It is. That's definitely what it feels like. It is. It is just fantastic. So where can people find this yarn and get a skein for themselves?
So people can come to www.flyinggoatfarm.com. And we have our store there, and you can search for Zephyret if you want that particular yarn, or you can search by color. On Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, we're Flying Goat Farm, and we'd be happy to have you start following us to see great yarns that we're making every day. And also on Periscope, I'm Flying Goat Farm. I'm putting my toe in, specifically Woolly Wednesdays.
Excellent.
To show the sheep, or yesterday it was woolly, but they were really chickens. So
Feathery Wednesday.
Yeah. But you can mostly find us at flyinggoatfarm.com.
Excellent. And what this colorway is what? Is it just pink?
Pink with an exclamation
point. Okay, that's what my tag said, but I wasn't sure if that was the official color. It's like pink, exclamation point.
Right.
Okay.
Bright pink. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for, first of all, the beautiful skein of yarn. Secondly, for being on the podcast and for sharing all of your experience and your struggles and your enthusiasm. I so appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and I wish you a very enthusiastic day. Thanks so much for watching. You can get weekly lessons like this in your inbox, along with access to worksheets and checklists and transcripts from all the podcast episodes when you sign up below. You can also subscribe on YouTube, and YouTube will notify you when there's a new video. And you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram. If you do, be sure to say hello or leave a comment below the video to let me know you're there. Thank you so much for watching, and have a very enthusiastic day.